Thank you. Well, hello to you all. It's been a long time since I've seen you, 3 months now, and good to be back in South Florida, where it's hot, humid, rainy, as opposed to 70 degrees, no humidity, and perfect weather in Canada where I was. Wanted to come back. We've got a lot of work to do in the fall, planning on our usual many upcoming events. Thank you all for getting here so promptly. We're good, 12:05, and our luncheon today, I'm going to start off by introducing Eric Keller. Eric, if you could just stand for a second. Eric and Expel are our sponsors for this meeting, and there's going to be a presentation and a demonstration after lunch, and Eric will get more into that when I reintroduce him after lunch. We'll be getting to the food part here very shortly. Just want to mention a couple of things to you that first and foremost, I want to bring to everybody's attention some sad news. Our founder, Ron Beasley, has cancer. We visited him a week ago. The executive went to his room over at Baptist Hospital, and he's doing relatively well, but relative is in quotation marks. He's been told that it's terminal. His staff, medical staff, have told him he's got 4 to 6 months left. Now, Ron was glad to see us the day we were over, and was surprisingly spry. He was in fairly good spirits, but as you might guess, because of the treatments and such, he tires very quickly, and specifically asks that none of us visit him. He appreciates thoughts, but he doesn't want visitors, he doesn't want phone calls. If you can all just, in your own little way, say a prayer for him and hope that it goes well. One of our members, Dr. Ray Mummery, told me a story years ago that I've never forgotten. He said one of his patients, make a long story short, was having problems, and he opened up this woman. He said she was walking death. He said the worst case of cancer he's ever seen. And he expected that she would last a few weeks. She's still alive today, and the last time he opened her up, he said there was no sign of cancer. Explaining it, can't explain it. It completely disappeared. So it's not an impossible situation. It's never impossible, but the probabilities are that Ron is only going to be with us for a short time. So keep him in your prayers, and cross your fingers for him. It's a sad state, and Ron, without Ron, we wouldn't have SAMA. He was the guiding force behind this organization, Eric. He's a wonderful guy. He had the idea to form it, and has been a pivotal leader for us, getting involved in every single thing that we do. He's just a terrific man. So.
It's really sad.
From that, it's Pepe, do you have anything to?
No, I was exactly.
Okay, well, thank you. And Paul also bailed out. He said, "No, I don't want to talk. There's nothing to talk." So, something for those of you that don't know, our Rides and Smiles this year isn't going to be, because we've moved it from November, the usual date, to February. It will be late February for a couple of reasons. That two of the manufacturers last year had a real scramble trying to get us cars for Rides and Smiles. And in fact, Ford were unable to get us one of the new Mustangs. And it's a big loss for the kids in the hospitals. They love the Mustangs. They all said, yeah, if you can somehow move it back a little bit. And our good friends at the Homestead Miami Speedway, they gave me a date in February, so that should be perfect. It should be cooler weather. We'll have a full field of cars once again, and my big worry actually at one point was that maybe we're going to get the same turnout of race cars, because my God, we've had a spectacular display of race cars in the past couple of years. But one of the fellows I talked about that said actually it should be better, because teams come from all over the country for the Daytona 24-hour race at the end of January, and they usually stay for Sebring in March. Well, suddenly to have the cars at Homestead a couple of weeks before Sebring, they're sitting around doing nothing anyway. Perfect. So he said, no, don't worry about that. So I think Rides and Smiles looks very strong. Juan Robin has already sent me an email very kindly saying they will once again pay for all the t-shirts this year, so God bless Juan and his company for doing that. Ariel and the people at Hyundai have again said they want to step forth and keep their sponsorship of our lunches for the Wounded Warriors going. So that's progressing very, very well. And we should have the best this year. It's going to take some of the crunch out of November, because November is such a busy month for all of us that we have the International Auto Show, the NASCAR race, and then usually Rides and Smiles, followed by our Christmas party shortly thereafter. So it was a busy time of year, and I think having a little bit of a gap. Now we'll have Rides and Smiles in February and Topless in what, May, Paul, probably? June. So it's a good spread of time for us.
By the way, on the party, you might mention the party. I don't know whether Marcelo's, what he's done, but we're going back to Redfish Grill.
Yeah, we had talked about perhaps having our party at the Curtis Mansion, where Lisa Barrow and the Chrysler people had an event. It looked really good, but there were too many little details. For example, they said you can't have any music after 11 o'clock. Sorry, no, that's not going to work. And on and on. They didn't want cars displayed on the lawn. So no, we're going to be going back to Redfish Grill because the setting down there is so beautiful. It's just pretty, and all the manufacturers love it. So that's about it. Like I said, I'm happy to be back down here, and I'm relearning how to adapt to South Florida culture. I learned that in Canada, I was riding with a Canadian one day, and learned that on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, there's a little lever that when you pull it down, it makes a clicking noise, and actually shows you which way you're going to turn the car. It's unheard of. And you go out boating in Canada, and people are always waving at each other. It's nice. You know, people wave down here, but Canada, they use 5 fingers to wave down there. So there's a lot of differences, but other than that, happy to be back. I'm glad to see you all. You're all looking well and look like you've had a good summer. And we'll get into lunch right now, and then shortly, in like maybe 30 or 35 minutes, we'll have Eric up to tell us about the product and see a demonstration. So thank you all.
Thank you.